and in today's video we're with the FCE exam, and today we're going to be focusing in on the writing section and more specifically common writing mistakes. So I'm going to be running through very quickly a lot of mistakes that I've seen over the years marking students' compositions. And a lot of the time they keep doing the same mistakes. A lot of them are obviously because, well, they're either stressed because it's an exam, or they don't know what they're doing. So let's have a look at some of these mistakes. The first mistake, and this is very important, especially in the FCE exam, because the examiners expect you to know about formality. Okay, so you should know the difference between informal, neutral and formal. For example, if you're asked to write an article or a review, it's in a kind of informal style, or an email to a friend, informal. Whereas if you're asked to write a formal letter to a newspaper, like a letter of complaint or a letter of opinion or perhaps an essay, these are formal compositions, and you need to, get your formality right. If your formality is consistently wrong, you will lose marks. If there's any of you out there going, formality, what's that again? Click the link here. There'll be a video that should explain very briefly what formality is for you. But this is a very common mistake. Writing the wrong composition. Oh yes. In other words, the students don't really know what a review is, or an article is, or an essay is. And by this stage, especially if you're sitting in the exam, you should make sure that you know what all of these compositions are. There's no excuses for that. So when you see write a review, you know exactly what it should look like. Oh, a title, a paragraph giving basic information, and then a body giving all the things I liked about it, or maybe the things I didn't like about it, and then a recommendation at the end. That you should know them like the back of your hand, because it's just silly when you're being asked to write, let's say, a review, and you write an essay or something like that. You're going to lose marks. And again, it's just a matter of studying. Again, there's lots of videos on this site, reviews, stories. We've been through them all, okay, all the FC writings. Click on them, watch them, make sure you know what you've got to do in each composition. It's extremely important. Using simple vocabulary. Now, we're all guilty of this. I'm sure your teachers out there have been teaching you lots of vocabulary, all these wonderful words like fantastic, wonderful, brilliant, stunning. And what do you put in the exam? Nice or good. This is a perfect example of simplistic vocabulary. The examiners like to see you try and use all this vocabulary that you've been using. So illegal words that you should never be using, good and bad, unless they're part of an expression, like in a good mood, you'd get away with that. But you wouldn't say we went for a good meal or a nice meal. Oh, come on. You can do so much better than that. You think, okay, so good, bad, nice. The worst word in the English language, nice. It's horrible. Don't use it ever. Except maybe in your speaking you could get away with it. Nice. I hate nice. Things, stuff. Because these are lazy words. There's always instead of, when you say things and stuff, you're not being specific. And once again, you're not using that vocabulary. So, don't use simplistic words. Always think, do I know a better word? Is that the best word I can come up with? Not checking over your work. Now, okay, sometimes people run out of time. In my experience, this isn't really a problem in the FCE exam. They give you plenty of time, so there's not really much excuse for learning to check over your work. And this is a matter of practice. When you write a composition for your teacher, they will correct it. They'll tell you what kind of mistakes you should correct those mistakes, so you know whether you make spelling mistakes, grammatic mistakes, word order mistakes. Sometimes maybe your native language gets in the way. You should be aware of this so you know what to look out for. So in the exam, make sure you're going over your two compositions, checking for the usual mistakes that you make, because every mistake that you find will improve your marks. Again, very, very important. Error correction, not just in the exam, but for every composition you do. How do we learn? We all learn from our mistakes. Everybody does. So should you. Silly spelling mistakes. This is kind of the same as before, but there's lots of them. For example, the classic, you start off your email by saying, I am writing to tell you, and writing is spelt with 2 T's. Oh, epic fail. No, no, no. Look at these words like disappointed, writing, all these kind of words. Again, there's some videos on this channel which highlight these words for you, because you shouldn't be making silly spelling mistakes. Okay, if you make 1 or 2, that's fine. But if they're consistent throughout your composition, you will lose marks. So, and again, another classic, not following instructions. Now, we've already kind of touched on this when they clearly say to you, write an article, and you go off and you write, yeah, I fancy writing an essay, I'll do that. That's not following instructions, so you're going to lose marks. We've touched on this already. But the most common thing is they will give you a word limit, like 140 to 190 words. The word limit is there for a reason. If you write less than 140 words, you are going to lose a lot of marks. And some of my students will say, oh yeah, mister, but you know, I wrote 144. I'm like, well, that's great. You wrote an extra 4 marks. You could have written up to 190. So that's like an extra 50 words that you could have written, you could have impressed the examiner with, but you didn't. So you've still lost marks. Okay? And again, other people will have a problem. The upper limit is 190. Ooh, and they'll write 250 words. Again, this isn't good because you're spending too much time on one composition. You may run out of time. You may be going off topic. And again, Cambridge is telling you that you should be able to write a good answer in 140 to 190 words. So practice writing. I would say around 170, 180 is absolutely beautiful. And this is what you should be aiming for every single time. Alright, so guys, these are some things that you really should be thinking about in your FCE writings, and in fact every exam writing you ever do. I hope it's been useful. If there's any queries about any of these things, or I was talking a little quickly or anything like that, which I always do, send us a comment and I'll be happy to explain things to you. Okay, bye for now.